Welcome to Pesto Comics Video Edition for June 25th, 2025. Post-Mortem, from Parts Unknown number 3, an in-depth look at the 8th Pesto Comics campaign. Welcome back. For those of you just listening to the audio this week, there are a number of slides available on the Substack, along with a video where I flip through them with you. So if you want more information than I'm reading out, you'll want to check that out. Pushing the release date for From Parts Unknown number 4 ended up being a really smart thing to do. Not only does it allow me a little more time to prepare the whole campaign, something I didn't do for the topic of today's postmortem, but it also allows us to really review the results of From Parts Unknown number 3. Though I wished I had done better, in spite of all the mistakes I made, it served a purpose in teaching me a lot of lessons that should make the final entry a lot more successful next week. I hope at least. I'm not going to do the usual work log updates, as this entry will be long enough. I didn't get too much done, as I'm still catching up from last weekend's trip to the East Coast. But I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things. I'm not just reviewing the campaign for From Parts Unknown number 3, but I'll also be sharing tidbits of future plans and projects where it fits. Keep watching or listening if you're interested in what's next. But first, I have some updates to share, including a big milestone announcement. Project updates. Real quick, here are the updates. From Parts Unknown number 4 launches on July 2nd. That's next week. We've crossed 100 followers and could use more. Follow the pre-launch page today. Big Smoke Pulp Volume 1 is available on Kindle Unlimited now through August. There's 40 incredible stories from 40 excellent authors, including yours truly. And the big one, call for entries for Big Smoke Pulp Volume 2 is now open. If you have a short story under 5,000 words, send it my way. You can find that link in the Substack. And now, let's look back on From Parts Unknown number 3. I'm not going to do the floating head like I did on the last postmortem, as that was more distracting than it was helpful. I'll be back when it's the Q&A portion. Before I start, I always like to give credit to where this postmortem came from. Tyler James and the Comics Launch community have taught me a lot about crowdfunding as a whole, but I also based most of this postmortem off a lesson within the Comics Launch program. I would recommend it to anyone who is serious about launching comics on Kickstarter. It's ever growing and updating, so you will always be on the forefront of what's going on with comics and Kickstarter. With that out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty of From Parts Unknown number 3, starting with funding. This was an interesting start to the campaign, as the launch was nearly as successful as that of From Parts Unknown number 1. I thought we'd hit the same trajectory, but it turns out it was mostly returning backers picking up the next issue. There was a fatal flaw to this entire launch, which I'll get into later, but given that, it was surprising to see this strong a launch, and less so when it petered out. As far as how From Parts Unknown 3 did relative to all Pesto Comics campaigns, it remains in the pack with the rest of the series. Even though it shed a handful of backers from issue 1, it still maintained a decent pace overall. Where From Parts Unknown 3 really lagged was in the total funding raised. I had a feeling we might run into problems given the general lack of enthusiasm for From Parts Unknown number 2, so I kept the goal artificially low. It doubled the funding goal very quickly, but was well shy of the heights that From Parts Unknown number 1 and From Parts Unknown number 2 hit. Aside from the percentage of funding goal metric, which was artificially higher, as the previous 2 entries had double the goal, all other metrics were lower. Fewer backers, pledging less per backer, found us falling to number 6 of the 8 campaigns we've launched. That fatal flaw hit hard. Again, sharing that shortly. The pledge levels followed suit for 1 and 2, as they do for nearly every Pesto Comics campaign. Digital is always popular, given the price tag, and the main cover usually comes out as a big draw. This time, the third most popular pledge level wasn't a bundle, but the Versus variant by longtime Pesto collaborator Riccardo Ficini. We'll be working together on a lot more soon. The average pledge per backer was lower than From Parts Unknown number 2, but still remained much higher than From Parts Unknown number 1. The handful of all 3 cover bundle sales likely contributed to this. The variant covers were strong performers this time out. As always, paying Daniel and JP is majority of the budget. It's money very well spent, but also illustrates the truth of indie comics. They're very expensive. Now let's look at the backers. I can deal with lower funding totals if we're bringing new eyes to the series and Pesto Comics as a whole. That wasn't the case here though. Even though From Parts Unknown number 3 started a lot harder than From Parts Unknown number 2, it lost steam within a couple of days and never picked up again. There were also a couple negative days, which made the climb that much steeper. The campaign was shorter than the others at just 23 days, but there were no bites with the late pledges either. Much like the funding totals, even though From Parts Unknown number 3 underperformed, it stays pretty tight with the rest of the series. Naked Kaiju Woman continues to be the outlier. As always, the USA provides the lion's share of backers. Backers from my home country of Canada were cut in half this round, making it neck and neck with backers from Ireland. Thanks to JP and friends. One package each went to the UK, Indonesia, and New Zealand. This campaign was, hands down, the worst for bringing in new backers. I've never had a campaign at single digits for new backers before. There were a number of factors that contributed to this, even outside of that fatal flaw that I'll let you in on later, including it being a penultimate entry. Hopefully backers were simply waiting for the conclusion launching next week. Shockingly, the follower count for From Parts Unknown number 3 was the highest of the series. It feels like an even bigger kick in the pants that we weren't able to convert more followers to backers given this. As usual, digital copies outstripped physical, but the number of copies distributed were the second lowest of all time. Both versions just narrowly edged past the numbers of Unlimited Udo. The most comforting metric was the amount of returning backers. People really seemed to enjoy issue 1 enough to return. It's a really big surprise given the fatal flaw, which I'll tell you now. From Parts Unknown number 3 was launched before backers ever got to read From Parts Unknown number 2. That means that the 55 returning backers here did it sight unseen. That's a lot of faith to put in an indie creator, and frankly, a lot of me to ask. I'll get into this more later, but these 55 returnees warmed my heart more than anything upon reflection. And this is one of my favorite charts. Seeing that we're able to keep 22 backers on 3 campaigns means that the series is doing its job. It also means more backers likely jumped on at issue 2, or have been backing for a lot longer. Either way, this is a huge motivation to keep going forward. Marketing. Aside from the fatal flaw of launching From Parts Unknown number 3 before anyone read From Parts Unknown number 2, the other misstep was sleeping on marketing entirely. I was so focused on the rapid release that I didn't do nearly enough to get the word out about this campaign. Here are the numbers to prove it. Kickstarter did most of the work for this campaign, letting previous backers know it's time to back the new one. It's not a surprise that an overwhelming amount of backers were returnees. Blue Sky continues to grow its influence. I decided to put more time into Instagram and Blue Sky alone, rather than trying to be everywhere at once. I'm hoping this renewed focus will draw even more backers in for From Parts Unknown 4 and beyond. Backer kit launch continues to be worth it. By its own metrics, which contradict this previous slide, it claims to have brought in about a third of the backers. Would those backers have found the campaign otherwise? Perhaps from the Kickstarter email that's sent upon launch? Maybe. But right now, it looks like backer kit launch still pulls its weight. Hello again, nice to see you. So let's get into the questions from this campaign. How do you feel now that the Kickstarter campaign is over? Overall, I'm disappointed. The comic turned out pretty great, and it's the best entry yet, until the finale. I'm disappointed in myself for being more focused on the deadline I set for launching, rather than waiting for it to be ready. I got caught up in the idea of rapid release, and that hurt the campaign overall. What was the high point of this campaign? Day 1 was the only real high point of this campaign. It started really strong, and felt like it might surpass the numbers of both issues 1 and 2. What was the low point of this campaign? Day 23, or the last day, was very disappointing. Given the series follower count, I was expecting conversions to save this campaign. Instead, the day was mostly silent. That continued beyond day 23 as we got 0 late pledges. How are you different now that the campaign is over? Though we funded, I can't help but feel like this campaign was a bit of a failure. It's the 6th best campaign of 8. As the 8th campaign, I'd hope to be in the top 2 or 3, but we got nowhere near it. That caused me to recalculate and put a lot more thought into how to launch From Parts Unknown number 4. Plus, it influenced the decision to end the series on a double issue versus a number 5. What surprised you most about this campaign? The utter lack of new backers. I really thought the higher follower count would be a good sign of new backers finding their way to it in the last 48 hours. Instead, those were quiet and disappointing like never before. What's your biggest concern now that the campaign is over? That I have damaged the brand in some way. I've taken steps to recover, including delaying From Parts Unknown number 4 and ensuring copies of From Parts Unknown number 2 and number 3 were in readers' hands before launching. I just hope that was enough. What worked really well during this campaign? Kickstarter's ability to reach former backers. Without much fanfare, From Parts Unknown number 2 readers knew that From Parts Unknown number 3 was coming. What might you do better next time? Prepare. From Parts Unknown number 4 will be a very different campaign. I have update strategies, social media strategies, reward strategies, and more. I'm going to be on top of this campaign like I haven't been since From Parts Unknown number 1. What did backers resonate with? These, the variant covers. Riccardo Facchini always knocks it out of the park. He's too good and threatened to walk away from art at one point, and I'm so glad he hasn't. I can't wait to work with him again very soon. Nate Walkington has an amazing style that works so well in bringing a whole new level of seriousness to Bruno and Pietro that never existed before, and our next project is already in the works. What completely bombed? The campaign, plain and simple. Although we funded, it could have gone so much better than it did. What will you never do again? Rapid release Kickstarters for the same series. If all goes according to plan, the latter half of 2025, I won't be slowing down the campaigns at all. I'm counting at least 5 more to come, 3 comics and 2 novels. The difference is, these aren't all the same series. Backers will get a chance to enjoy the current installment before being expected to back the next one. It seems simple and like common sense, but that was in short supply in the face of my self-imposed deadline. I'll do better with From Parts Unknown 4 and onward. With that, I want to thank you for watching. It means a lot, and if you're listening, I implore you to check out the Substack. You don't have to watch the video and look at my mug, but it's a good idea for you at least to see the slides and the data that goes in. It's kind of revealing to see just how much From Parts Unknown 3 did underperform not only the rest of the series, but just everything I've done with Pesto Comics thus far. I'm still very proud of the content of the book, and I think it's an excellent story, and it's the beginning of the climax, so things really do start to pick up in this 3rd issue. So for people who stuck it out through 1 and 2, I mean, they're really missing out if they didn't get the 3rd one. What I'm hoping is the people that sat that out are just waiting for the 4th one, and they'll pick up what they missed at that point. Plus, hopefully, we can get a whole bunch of new backers, given that the 4th and final issue, it's the chance to pick up the whole series at once. We're talking about 112 pages of story, all in one go. You can get all 4 issues all picking up at the same time, which is the way to go, I think. If you haven't checked out the series or if you're unsure about it, that's a great way to just jump in right away. Plus, there will be a lot of good digital bundles and all kinds of things. And for anyone who missed anything from Pesto Comics, I mean, if you didn't get on Naked Kaiju Woman, I feel like that's a good opportunity to do so. It'll be a lot of fun to check that out. So I'm really hoping that people jump on this campaign like they haven't for the rest of the series. So this is a good opportunity to really get a dense amount of story for a relatively reasonable price, given how much indie comics can be expensive in that. The one thing I am going to do different, a little bit of a preview to the launch next week, is I've always done all-in shipping, but given the challenges with tariffs and the whole shipping structure, I'm going to be breaking that out once again. So the prices will look lower until you, of course, add shipping if you're doing physical items. So we'll talk more about all of that next week. I am going to record one more video just for the campaign page, but otherwise we'll be back to audio. As much as I love doing the video, I'm still waiting for a proper setup. When I say waiting, I'm reconfiguring my space so that I can have a proper YouTube setup with the cool background and the proper camera that's a little more high def so you can really see the wrinkles and in between all the beard hairs and all that business. But really, so that it just looks a little more professional than what I'm doing now. I'm kind of huddled in the corner of a basement. So I threw up a green screen, or at least tried to do that behind me. But in the future, I'll have like a proper studio setup, and then I'll be able to not only record videos for this Substack, but I'll be launching the YouTube channel at Pulp Writerly. So if you go to YouTube and you search Pulp Writerly, I'm going to be doing more writing-focused stuff there, talking about novels and writing fiction, like short stories, all that kind of stuff, with a pulp genre bend, which of course is everything that Pesto Comics does as well. I won't just be talking about comics, but I'll be talking about the craft of writing on that page. So if you're interested in that, I implore you to check out and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy this video. Or if you're watching this on the Pesto Comics YouTube, you can also go ahead and join the Pulp Writerly YouTube as well. I'll of course share that once the videos are up. I'm aiming for August, as we'll have a Kickstarter. Project Hollywood, the thing I haven't revealed yet. I'm trying to coalesce those so that they'll launch around the same time. Anyways, with all that, I want to thank you for listening and watching. It means a lot. And yeah, so next week from Parts Unknown number 4, it feels like a long time coming. It technically hasn't been. We launched from Parts Unknown last fall, so we're already done the series, which is really cool. But I'm very excited to finally be here. And hopefully we have a great launch, and this kind of sets the tone for the latter half of 2025. But of course, I will be here every week talking to you. I appreciate those of you who watched this week. I'll be back with more soon. Thank you very much. Talk to you next Wednesday.